We up here, dog?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah, all right. What's up, man? It's been When's the last time we did a live free agency show?
That's a good question.
Like, it was a staple for the longest time.
Yeah,
Probably not. Probably last decade, right? Definitely not in these last 4 years.
it's been a minute, that's for sure. You
Yeah,
get to throw the DI Live logo in the corner there. Got
yeah,
quite a few people involved, so that's awesome. Hopefully, we'll get some news as we go on here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but happy July 1st, happy Canada Day
yeah,
to our friends up north. This should be fun.
yeah. Happy Canada Day, kids. Uh, so I guess it's always gonna be this way. Like, my God, the cap went up huge, and everyone couldn't wait to spend, and basically all the deals got unloaded. We're Dave had an errand to take care of it. We probably would have gone live at 12, but even still, like, it would have been chaos to probably do. So now it seems like it's slowing down a little bit, which is uh, totally fine. So they did get both guys, Dave. So that's exciting that the defense is taken care of. There's one more forward move here, and maybe they can do one more. Like, we were trying to figure out those numbers that, okay, what's it going to look like in terms of being able to add forwards, and they might have enough to maybe go get one more multi-million-dollar player since the Nason deal was kind of on the lower end. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean this is a world they're living in now that they're going to be a cap team, right? I mean this is what when many years ago when they weren't quite ready for that and people go spend money. Well, now they're in the spot to do it. And I look, Jeff, I'll say this: we were pretty clear that we wanted Brendan Dillon even before we even thought Pesci could be a thing. So I think yes, the big game hunting in terms of forwards would have been cool. Not to say that they're done in that regard, but I think separating the forward stuff for a second, we have to feel really, really good about what they did defensively here, right? I mean, they go out and they get two defensive players that fit exact needs. For one, Brendan Dillon, though he's a little older, he is a very large man that blocks shots, hits, has played in a bunch of pressure pack situations, good soldier, that kind of thing. And they get a guy in Pesci that has that all those little things you like, the rush defense, penalty kill, being able to use his stick well in terms of shutting down passing lanes and all that. Like I understand after last year, and we knew last year was going to be the transitive year in terms of figuring out the defense and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like they've come out the other side of what was I don't want to say painful, although kind of big moment in terms of trying to get through last year, and now it feels much like Jeff. I think we came on and said 2 years ago this feels like a playoff defense, and we were right. And I think everyone felt that way, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now it feels like that again, and also more than anything, whatever you get from Nemitz and Luke this year in terms of how quick their development to being anywhere near the top of their game, you're covered, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have bodies here that can eat some of the defensive minutes that they may not be ready for. That end, whether it's one of Nemitz or Nemitz and Luke, you have to love the idea of having a third pair that can have one of those players on it or both.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of similar to what Damon Severson was able to do 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, you don't feel short on penalty killers either, right? You're probably going to roll Siegs, Pesci, Dillon, Nemitz will probably be the fourth guy for sure. Uh, Luke and Dougie can bide their time. Like, they're they don't anyway. But Luke probably, God, it was so bad on injuries last year. He probably could have penalty killed at some point. Like, that's how bad it was. They've got those guys covered now. And yeah, I mean, listen, if you want to pick apart the Pesci term and you want to pick apart the Dillon term, I think you can, and that's fine. Like, what was it? Dillon was 2 by 2.8. I figured that was way too light. I didn't think that they were going to be anything like that. So it was an extra million and an extra year. That's what it was going to be. So I'm not even surprised by that. I basically had those numbers penciled in for the most part. And uh, what's old is new again. Dave, Stefan Nason. Like, I wasn't sure what they're going to do. I didn't think, just kind of seeing the Cotter stuff and all that they wouldn't spend their money there. I actually thought they would spend their money on a center. I guess they still can. Like, maybe it'd be fun if, like, Adam Henrique is in the hopper right now for the sweetheart discount deal, and then basically everything we talked about last night on the podcast of how you're going to get a few more forwards in here, that you'd be generally close to covered at this point. So that's exciting. Like, they could, as much as last night we thought they might be a little short, maybe from 1 to 12. in a few spots, they're maybe one guy away from feeling like, okay, you're sure maybe you can upgrade here and there, but you feel like everyone's maybe in a decent spot. So that they're basically one move away where you feel like you're ready to go mostly to war for 20.
And I think, as we talked about on the pod, I guess last night, right? That even if they're not able to do that now, teams certainly do go into the year a little short sometimes. It's part of being in a cap world. Like sometimes you can't get across the line with everything you'd want, but they have the draft capital to get better. In terms of also, Jeff, like they can keep some of this cap room here and then be able to go get a couple of pieces at the deadline too. Like that's also a possibility. So I think from that standpoint, the fact that look, this is a team that's absolutely expecting to be playing past game 82.
Mhm.
And the trade deadline should be a big moment for them still. That I understand. Yeah, we would have loved to come away. When Marchessault was on the radar, yeah, you would have loved to have come away with him because even though he's a smaller guy, he's got that dog in him. He's been a championship caliber player and all that. But understanding that they do have cap constraints and maybe they don't know where Mercer is going to end up at. You got to think about that too.
Mhm.
I think they did about as well as they could today in terms of getting close enough where you say, okay, they can go add a piece when they, when the time is right. Let alone, I mean, they could do something right now, right? I mean, I guess that'd be the hope, right? Is that something else
Yeah,
happens here in a
man.
little bit. But by the way, we got to get you a ring light or something at some point. I'm gonna ship you one.
Dave, I
No,
like to
no
rot.
more Rempy banners. So
I like to rot in the dark. Okay, this is my life. No lights on. Less
that's true.
light.
You're usually sleeping during daylight hours, so
Yes, yes, less light. This is the creature I am for the most part. So, yeah, it's still like, and then I think it's the fun part. We're basically getting through most of the expensive stuff now. So maybe you might finally get to the the guys who are kind of left. You might just have to go for fit and cup more than chasing
yeah.
money right now. So you might be in the. So they did one thing, and now they might be able to sit back for a few hours here. Well, we might be long gone by the time they do something, but now you would hope some form of the prices start to come down here a little bit. So, by the way, you're getting dinged that you spelled Brennan Dillon's name wrong.
Did I?
Lucan
Oh,
Persephone
sorry.
is grilling you.
Oh, that's right.
E-N.
That's right. It's the same letter for both, and I didn't do that. Sorry. Let me fix that.
It's a, we're gonna.
I work with Brendan's and Brandon's and
yes.
yeah. Let me make sure I do that right.
Can we have some fun here for a second?
Yeah, it's July 1st. If we can't have fun today, what are we even doing?
We'll do a more formal podcast. I know we're kind of scattered ass right now, but we'll do a more formal one
Yes.
probably at some point tonight.
There we go. That should be better.
Beautiful.
Actually, let me pull it down and put some spaces in between here. Be a little civil,
I'm enjoying the team across the river having guys pass them by, and who knows, maybe they'll be smart about it that they shouldn't be spending all these guys. But if they feel like this coming year is the last of the window before the Igor deal,
yeah,
I love them kind of just not being able to add to their group right now.
well,
I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
I think that's something to really think about here. Is I know Washington finished ahead of the Devils. I can't be too worried about them. Not worried about Pittsburgh. Really not worried about the Islanders. I think the Devils have to be better than all those teams. If they're not, we got bigger problems.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 3-team race here for positioning and maybe trying to get a good first round series. Like you've seen certain people say, "Oh, the Devils caught Carolina," or or close to the Rangers. Like I know we can obsess over those teams because we're Devils fans. It's what we do, but.
Mm-hmm.
There is certainly something to, if this is an arms race and that's what it's going to come down to. Carolina's losing a lot today, and yeah, as the Rangers are trying to do things, and obviously their big ticket was Trouba, and I don't know if that's going to happen now, and maybe nobody wanted to hand the Rangers free cap space again. Thank you, Mike Greer. Well done.
Wow.
I do think that's something to note here. Like the Rangers' success and Carolina's success is absolutely tied into the Devils this year. No question.
Mm-hmm.
That there is no, whether the Devils finish third, second, first, whatever, those teams are absolutely tied to what the Devils are trying to do here. And you know what? You're probably playing both of them in the playoffs again this year, right? I
Mhm.
mean, I hate to think of what a Devils Rangers first round series after everything that's transpired would be like. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, not again.
We all might need to keep the baby aspirin with us for that series if we go through it again. But it feels like that's what we're on a collision course for, right?
Yeah. Real quick, just in terms of the kind of the current state of the money for the Devils, you factor in Dawson's projection, and I know there could be a few hundred thousand here or there. Like I've kind of got the Devils right around 2 2/4 worth in terms of over a league minimum contract. Like that's what they can mostly afford right now. So I think they've got room for like one more. Like defensively, the money's kind of penciled in pretty easily for the most part. Like I wonder if McDermott, for the most part, is actually going to cost them like $400,000. I know it's all variable, but uh, like I think I don't think they're going to put him on waivers and put him in the minors. Like I think you're just going to have to pay that 400K surplus over what you have on a minimum right now. So like they can add like maybe like a $3 million player. That's kind of what the number I generally have for the most part is. Maybe a little bit more. So I think you might have to be patient now, Dave. But at the end of this, we might not get our mid-6 center winger flex guy, and you might just have to put your eggs in the basket of what they got. And if there's an injury or two, then just going to kind of ride with it. So they're mostly out here. I like they got Dylan. I know everyone thought top 6. Those top 6 guys seem to be mostly gone at this point for now. Like pretty
There
much
weren't
all of
really a
them.
lot of them anyway, right? I mean, how many guys would you really say? And I don't mean like moonlighting or
Like
like
bona fide.
Palat type, Palat Tampa types. Like really, like to me, when you say top 6, it's I guess I'd look at it as like you've been a multiple time 60-point plus or 30-goal guy.
Sure.
Like other than that, as far as I'm concerned, you're kind of moonlighting. Now, yeah, I'm sure there's guys that have been like 28 goals, 35 assists that would probably fit into that mold. But
You're not
I guess
talking about
generally
Martin
you get what I'm
Necas, are
saying.
you?
No, I'm not talking about Marty Necas. They clearly don't have the room for him considering what he wants. And I guess that's a good question is what do you think Carolina does with him?
They'll probably just or I guess they did qualify him.
Mhm.
They'll just probably take the whatever it is. Maybe they'll fight a little bit in arbitration or whatever. Like I'm assuming he's basically 1 year from UFA. They'll fight in arbitration. They'll settle on the 1 year. They won't care what the number is probably because they'd let so many guys go out the door today. So uh, it's almost too hard to try and look at the other depth chart. It was easy to talk about the Rangers real quick because they've done fucking nothing today. I can't get a handle on Carolina yet until the all the websites are just updated. But they literally let everyone walk for the most part.
Yeah, and it's funny. So talking about the Rangers and them not doing anything. Obviously, the fact that Lafreniere doesn't want to sign this offseason probably hurts
Yeah.
them as well because let's be real, let's give credit where it's deserved. He looked really good towards the end of the year and in the playoffs. If he hits 30 plus goals this year, which he probably will, like him not to, but probably, what's his number next year? Probably pretty high, right? I
8.
mean,
Starting
with
with
the
an 8.
cap, I mean, at the very least 7, especially if you're looking at a cap bump not only this year but next year. 7 or 8 is really more like what 6 was a couple years ago in theory.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at it that way. I would assume he'd even at least try to get the Jack Hughes number, right? 8 times 8
Oh,
feels at least
definitely.
fair.
Yep.
So there's that money. So that's what essentially a $7 million difference compared to what he's making. Or no, sorry, he's on 2 point something right now, right? So it's like 5 and change, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever Shesterkin goes to, they don't really have, if they can go get somebody on a 1 year, which I'm sure they wanted, fine. But I don't know if the Rangers are in a spot where they can go and add a ton for this year, knowing what's coming next. And in theory, why I was bringing that up is I think the Devils have to be somewhat cognizant of that as well. That assuming you get Mercer on some sort of bridge here, we don't know yet. It could even be a 1 year for all we know. I doubt it, but I would look at it and say, if you're the Devils, don't you need? I know the cap's going up again. It's probably what about 5 mil? It's going to be
Yeah,
93 next
92
year.
next year.
92,
Yep.
93. Okay. Yeah, you have some room at Luke, but Luke's probably getting an 8x8, right?
Someone's already, I think Evolving Hockey already did it 8.79. So yeah, basically,
Okay, so yeah,
yep, that's it.
so even eight times eight in theory would be a little bit of a discount, sort of. The Devils have to think about that too, right? I mean, if they go into this year and they cap themselves out for next year already, like I understand. Okay, we could discuss Palat buyout. Oh God, we've been.
Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, you could already. I mean, all right. I guess we're doing 25. We can do a little 25, 26 Devils talk. This won't make the. It's not our time for the podcast, but like they've already got 84 million committed to next year, and they would need a backup goaltender, and I guess they wouldn't really need too much else. Maybe some sprinklings of some bottom six guys. So you're already looking at them without maybe a major. And again, that factors in Dawson's second year bridge. That factors in Luke getting an 8x8. That's kind of what. If you factor those in, and you might as well, right? Let's go with the bigger numbers just to be on the stricter side of things. And again, you might already feel locked in. You kind of already like where it's at, but you've got about like $7.5 million to work with next summer. That's kind of what if you're assuming Mercer and Luke are on the payroll.
It also feels like if you talk about drafting and needing ELC guys, it certainly feels like that, right? That
yep.
I know I can't wait to see DevCamp simply for the fact of they're going to probably, maybe it's not this year, they're going to need a couple ELC guys.
Stillman,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Stillman, we'll see, but I think Philman, maybe can get to that point in 2 years, basically. We'd hope. Yeah, they're going to need those one way or another. So, as much as we say, from within, that kind of thing, I think you do, if you're smart about your window and not getting into the situation similar to what other teams have done, especially why goaltending, you got to be careful, because once you get the goaltender and you're paying for him, look what Edmonton had to do today, right? You think they want to buy out a goalie?
Jack. Yeah.
You think they want that dead money? I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but that's just dead money, right? You don't.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get better? How do you take another step if you're paying a guy to go away? So I do think, as much as we want to load up here, and not to say they shouldn't, I think you have to keep an eye on the future here. And my guess is that's what the Rangers are dealing with now. Is they know that if they go too far in terms of
they'll be cooked.
Adding guys now, they are like, what are you going to tell Shesterkin? No thanks.
Right.
I know he wants a stupid number, and yeah, maybe he's not getting 12.9 like he wants, but 11 feels right. I would say, based on a little bit of hometown discount versus cap jumping, like, is 11 similar to, what Bob signed for, what Vasilevsky signs for? He shouldn't take less than Vazzy, right?
No.
At the very least.
No, he shouldn't.
Or whatever the percentage of the cap was in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Are you sad Ryan Lomberg's not going to be a Devil? He went to Calgary.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a nice fit, actually. I think they'll really like him out there.
Yes.
He's an ex-Devil, or a future ex-Devil.
Yeah, so is Kevin Stenlund.
Yes.
He signed, I forget, he signed 2x2 somewhere. But people were interested in him.
No, Lomberg, I would have liked him. I think would you have liked him over Nason?
No, I would take Nason just because I think there's a little bit more skill there.
Something to think about with Nason that I don't think should go unnoticed. He's a good power play guy. Suddenly,
yeah.
Let's throw up his card here.
Yeah, I wonder if you feel good about the Devils generally, could you move him around the lineup, or is he legitimately just a fourth line player? Maybe he's a third line player.
Yeah, I mean, his competition's kind of low.
Soft, right?
Yeah.
So it's a comfy situation. Like it was a great situation for him to, especially with kind of him getting a chance to flex his muscles in the AHL from a scoring standpoint before he came back up. Like he kind of got a chance to do everything, be a grind guy, play a little bit of skill. Yeah, he's been pretty good dude for them on their second power play. I think he scored like playoff power play goals for them and stuff. Yeah, I'm interested to see him because like you know what's funny? The thing I remember most about him now recently, like I was kind of pissed at him recently for punching Eric Hall in the head after he already hit the ice in Game 3. Like that bothered me taking an extra shot at him. But you know what, Dave? He will play. We wanted a shithead, right? And he will play like a shithead, which will be a lot of fun. He will not take crap from anyone. He will face wash people. He'll spray the other goalie. He'll throw some ice in their face. He'll get to the net. I know we won't have to be talking about Stefan Nason in terms of effort every night. That'll be fun.
No, and also in a weird way, I can enjoy the goal he scored again a little bit more. Not that it
Yes.
obviously mattered in terms of finishing out that series. It was, relatively irrelevant, but I think we all like the player, and it's kind of nice to have him back and be someone that's gonna work hard. And I guess if you, I know third line, he could end up third line, or if you look at it, whether it's if they start the playoffs, say with Cotter, Nason, Lazar, fourth line, that works, right?
Oh, totally. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of jam and energy and enough talent to either forecheck or score a goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm in on those guys.
I mean, they've got guys that have all scored one way or another, which is nice. Yeah.
If they are out of money here, though, Dave, I'm guessing again, things could happen here while we talk live. It'll be the fun part of this, but it's feeling more and more like Lazar's the 4C and not a 4-wing. Like
I think he'll have to be at this point.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Wherever they put Curtis Lazar, he's going to put on his hard hat and go to work, right?
Damn right.
I mean, I know you love Curtis Lazar. I do. I'm sure many of you do as well. Absolute man rocket. Works hard. I love Curtis Lazar. I think he will be. You're giving him some dogs to roll with now. I think as much as he did a good job moonlighting higher up the lineup, probably not optimal to have him above your fourth line, but if you're giving him some running mates in terms of a fourth line, I think that feels really strong.
Yeah. What else is really of interest?
I'm working on putting together a cap friendly, with all the numbers here, so we can take a look at it together on here. Might as well use cap friendly while we can. All right.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, the numbers might be a little sturdier on that front. It's kind of slowed down now a little bit, which is nice.
What do you think? Just looking at some of the other deals here. I mean, I know there were some like Toffoli. I guess he did go to the Sharks.
Good for him. Yeah,
get your money. I mean, beautiful place to live. I mean, especially, I'm gonna guess at this point in his career, if he wasn't going to go to a winner on a short termer, you might as well
go get the money, go cash in.
Yeah.
He's probably been underpaid for a little bit the last bunch of years, so go get your money. Yeah, 4 years by $6 million?
I'm cool with that, right? I mean, I think that feels
all the guys, they're going out west, right? We can enjoy these guys. You don't have to hate them. It's very nice. I'm into it.
How about Nashville? I mean, I know they were loading up on cap space, and they clearly were like, "Hey, we're going to use the cap space." Has there been a bigger haul in terms of actual goals and cup winners in the same day as they like? Good God, Nashville. I mean, I know the West is kind of loaded, but also feels like it could be wide enough open. And I'm sure they like what they did this year. They have two good goalies too. How about Nashville?
It was kind of like a what's the word I'm looking for? That's kind of a twilight version of the Suter Parisi deals, right? Like a little bit older guys, a lot of star power, and throw Shea in there too. Like they spend what was it? 25 some million on those guys. But TSN just flashed it before. The first hour, $720 million were spent. I think last year was like 150 in the first hour. So like 5 times the amount of stuff that happened between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. like from last year to this year. Like five times the amount of dollars were spent. Absolutely insane. And Seattle, like, they kind of foobarred this thing from the start, and now they're trying to really patch it together.
They should probably slow down a little bit, shouldn't they?
I think you could have said that 3 hours ago, sir, and it would have worked. Now I think they're done. I think that's it now, right? 7 years for Chandler Stevenson and 7 years for Brandon Montour.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that like
it's too late to slow down now.
I like Montour, not for that. Chandler Stevenson feels like they're going to have very quick buyer's remorse on him personally.
Yes.
But the analytics don't love him. All right, so just before I put this out here for everybody to see, we can work on this as we're going here. I can't share my screen. I'm using 3 different computers right now. At some point when I get my other 55-inch setup, I'll show you guys my setup. I'm literally gonna have like every monitor ever. It's like 10 degrees warmer in this room than everywhere else because of all the heat all the computers give off. And I haven't even like fired up the old Xbox or anything yet. So I guess for the sake of it, do you want like, obviously we have McDermott, who we think is either scratch or whatever. It does feel like they're at least a body, if not 2 bodies, third line short right now. For the sake of this, do you want me to go Nason, Halla, Cotter third line just to fill everybody into actual gaps, or do you want to leave one of those wing spots open just for the hell of it? Like, how would you like your like? I'll put it up here in a second, but we'll build it right now. How do you want your?
Give me Nason as a third liner, I guess.
Okay, and then we'll keep a third
Cotter,
line.
and Lazar, Cotter, Bass is the fourth line. I guess that's kind of what you would do.
Okay, and then McDermott will be the extra for now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me grab this. Gonna take a sec here. I gotta transfer it to a different computer, put a background on it. We'll get there, but this at least has the numbers correct. I might as well learn cap friendly before it goes away, right?
Yes, exactly.
I do wonder what's gonna happen with like Puckpedia. If he's gonna try to, once it's gone, try to steal some of the look of cap friendly, maybe, or some of the functionality. I don't know how much of it he can't do or whatever, but I do wonder like what the goal of that essentially is going to be, because it's a slam dunk in terms of traffic, right, Jeff?
Oh, totally.
I mean, for one, all of us degenerates are always on cap friendly, sometimes too much.
Mm-hmm.
There's literally days where like I close tabs on my work computer and like cap friendly is a bunch of tabs and like, oh yeah, that's right, should be doing work now, but I'm not. you gotta think some like there's money in terms of ad revenue and all that built in, right? Like someone has to do it. So
yeah.
I wonder what that's going to be. Also, I know we have YouTube up. I see people chatting. Dumba 2.375 with Dallas. That seems a little that's surprising.
1 year, I guess it's fine, right? Was it 1 year?
I
guess anyone's fine for 1 year. I guess the Rangers are working on a trade for Riley Smith from the Penguins.
Okay. I don't know what they'll give up to.
Yeah, it might just be a player. I don't know if they want to, because Smith.
You've always been a big Riley Smith guy, right?
I like them. Anthony Duclair to the New York Islanders, David.
Oh, okay.
How about that? It's a rather savvy move for them.
So yeah, that doesn't totally feel Lewis.
No, it doesn't.
Lewis. What am I, Sean Connery? Yeah, that's actually a nice move for them. That gives them a little bit of more speed. I'd like Duclair from the standpoint that I think he can help you. He's one of those rare flex, can probably get away playing first line, but also could be like a third line guy. Like you can move him up and down your lineup to give yourself some length and all that. So I actually like that move for the Islanders.
Yeah, another long contract though. It was the Dumba deal was 2 years, 3.7. Why wouldn't you just keep Suter? I know it's different sides, but like
at some point, Lou is signing deals that he's literally not going to be alive for. Think about it. I hate to say it, but
he's gonna outlive all of us. I have no idea.
Maybe, yeah. They'll find him. They'll find him dead at his desk in 2047 when he's like 102 or whatever.
We're mostly gonna try and focus on just kind of what's happening right now, since God, everything's already been out there. Albay Kubel went to Buffalo, 1 year, $1.5 million. That's about right.
Okay. There's been a couple of smaller, some of the guys that you all brought up, Sherwood and all those. Like, I guess the question is, if you're the Devils and you can't go get another bona fide third line body, would you rather keep your cap space?
Probably.
Or do you feel the need to go get another, warm body kind of thing? Because, I'm going to throw this up here in a second, and it certainly doesn't feel like they are robust in terms of having I hate to say it, but it's fair. if the Devils get an injury or two, it doesn't feel like they have, even
Yeah.
from within, a ton of bodies that you'd feel super confident in, right?
Yeah, like I don't know, they might trade Bass for I don't know, conditional pick and clear out that extra 600K of surplus cap space there. That might be something they do. Like that's the thing. Do they have third line guys, or are they still shopping? Are they still shopping for a pair, or one or two right now? Like Mason could just be a fourth line player, and Bass isn't going to be on this team, or he's going to be the 13th forward.
That's true. They can bury Bass and get a little bit more money, right?
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah, we'll see if they
All right, here,
actually
let
want
me try to fire this up here. And so based on this right now, this according to Cap Friendly, not my extrapolation, literally what the number says.
Yeah,
This gives them 3.851 in terms of money left. Give me 1 second.
Devils.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Dawson Mercer money, right? I mean, that's
No,
pretty
no,
much
no.
it.
This is with Mercer at 3.7.
Okay, yeah, so that's about it. So maybe you can make one more addition. That's kind of what I figured as well. You maybe have got like 3 million kind of left here.
New Covey is 775. By the way, he
Big
kind of gets
Covey.
cut off. But yeah, big Covey.
Yeah,
I like it. So yeah, so that's kind of depending upon what we want to say here, and I guess realistically, Nason probably is a third liner as of
I
now.
guess for now, yep.
I don't hate Nason Holla as a third line, right?
I want to see them punch each other in the room, getting fired up before the game
Oh God,
to kind of bury the hatchet, if you will. And
that probably has to happen at some point, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, that'll be discussed.
Like the go through one camp and like the next day before everybody goes, everyone before they step on the ice, it's the two of them. They don't even come out with gloves on,
Yes, they could fake pretend fight or something like that. Loosen up the training camp vibe right before.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, so maybe one more thing here. So, or maybe they'll grind. Fitz probably needs to grind Mercer down a little bit, maybe down to 3, if that's gonna be a thing. There could be a fight there. That's certainly part of it. How about Brendan Smith going to Dallas? He got a contract, 1 year,
You
$1
did?
million.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
It's nice.
Well,
he seems like a Texas guy.
I think I'll have fun in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can go. What can you fish down there? You can shoot. I don't know if you can fish.
Oh yeah, you can certainly fish in Texas.
Okay, so there you go. He that's a good spot for him. That's a nice comfort place for him.
Yeah, and
Eric Gustafson to Detroit, 2x2.
He's such a weird player.
Yeah, but at least
he is the definition of an October-November hockey player.
Yes.
Like when the league is open, he can run, but as soon as like you kind of have to go retrieve pucks, he's like, yeah, I don't do that.
Rangers probably could have kept him. Oh well, it's fine by me. Mike Riley signed for 1 year in New York. It's funny, like go figure, like Lou's like the least analytic guy ever, and he's the only one who's taken 2 shots on Mike Riley now, which is kind of interesting. Hathaway extended with the Flyers. It's too bad. I've been a nice, interesting player maybe at some point. 2 years, 2.4.
There we go. So that'll kind of give you an idea of where they're at. Yeah, 3.85 isn't much. I mean,
yeah.
Especially because I guess, we're also looking at it where technically how many they are at 21 players right now, right?
Yeah.
I know you said you want to keep them at 22. I agree with that. I think that might not even be a choice, but necessity.
Yeah. Like in terms of now, like there's still some fun fourth liners I would want on the team now, but you probably can't dance in that anymore. You might just need a save at this point. Like I think Cal Clutterbuck would still be a lot of fun to add down there, but I'm not sure you're going to give him. I don't know if you're going to give another fourth liner $2+ million. I guess.
No, you can't. It's one thing if you can get him bottom barrel kind of thing, but you're not. You can't go out and reach, I guess you could say, for this.
Yeah, maybe any other fourth liners would probably be after today when the frenzy stops, so to speak. So.
Which there will be some names still.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got over 3,000 people listening. That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
That's aggressive.
Yeah. I love how nobody's doing work today. I love it. I don't know if some of you are taking the week off. I kind of pseudo took the week off this week.
Yes.
Sort of like, it's July 4th week. And I don't know. Today, this is a national holiday for me anyway, as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
Happy Canada
Canadian
Day.
wannabe. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been sort of Canadian, right?
Dan Heinen 2x2. That was a nice one. I would have done that.
Yeah,
He might have
that's
done
a
that,
nice
but
move.
yeah, dude can legitimately be a third liner. Like that would have been a pretty good move. I would
Mhm.
have preferred that to a Nason, but
To
we
Nason?
don't know what the
Okay.
deal was.
I don't know. I think the thing about Nason, and I think this is fair, Devils still need to figure out their power play. As much as we have thought about, getting middle six guys, what they bring, Stefan Nason found a home being that punk in front of the net on the power play, right? And it worked for Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The Devils are still trying to figure that out, understanding that it doesn't guarantee that he's going to play power play here, but he's an option and he's done it, right? I mean, you can make the case that for the money you were getting, he's actually quite a bit a plus power play player. So
Mm-hmm.
being that, Dougie Hamilton's shot's going to be back and what you can do in terms of all that. Nason's a pretty good deflection guy too. So
Yes. Yeah,
I actually
maybe
like
they could
that
actually get some
part of it.
deflection goal. Maybe they'll actually get some deflection goals on power plays. That could be a thing. Wouldn't that be a fun idea? Like, doesn't feel like that's a thing like that happened for them at all.
I mean, Dougie Hamilton scored 20 plus goals 2 years ago, rifling pucks into the net. Wouldn't it be cool I know the Devils are not a team that tends to do a ton of this, but, shoot for deflections, shoot wide on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's, think of also, shoot to get a bounce off the boards, shoot far pad, all those little things that they might not have had the guys to hop on those rebounds or get deflections. Kind of feels like a little bit more of what the
A little
roster,
different.
especially the bottom six, can get. I like that.
Yeah. Second and a fifth rounder for Riley Smith. That's fine.
Okay, so that's their big move. I guess we have to check in with our friends across the river. Well, I mean, unfortunately, not across the river, but yeah. Does Nolan? Yeah, a couple people talking Nolan Foot in the YouTube chat.
What about him? Does he exist? Is he hurt already?
That's a great question.
What are the questions? I don't have the YouTube up. Thank you for having it up.
No, they're just saying that people saying you could possibly pencil Nolan Foot in.
I can't. He's dust. I'm going to be an ass. He's dust. It's over. Nolan Foot is done.
I mean, as I'll say this though, whatever way you want to take this roster we have built out here, there is clearly a roster spot to be won by somebody. I know,
yes.
Fake someone's job versus take someone's job.
My favorite.
The old adage that still continues to go on. I know you were on the warpath about that, and
yes.
you've kind of been right. They're going to need a body in here right now, right? I mean, is this where Chase Stillman finally shows his? No, probably not. But
there's a possibility for someone who's already on a New Jersey Devils contract to maybe be one of the 12.
At the very least, are they in a spot where somebody can show out in camp and at least make the opening night roster?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you some names here that maybe are not the sexiest, but do exist one way or another.
Sure. What do you got?
Willman still exists, right? Brian Halonen, who I actually thought did some pretty decent things. I don't know what we think if Philman's ready yet, or if he'll ever be. They have my former draft love Nathan Legare in the mix.
Yeah, that would.
I don't think he's much, but and Chase Stillman. So I mean, Justin Dowling too. I know some people like what he brought to the table.
I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody.
But right now they might have to, Jeff. I mean,
sure,
not to say that they don't either go get a PTO or they actually do. They can make a move 4 seconds from now. But
yeah,
right now, at the very least, there's a spot. You would like to think Curtis McDermott's not in the opening night lineup. I don't know if we're going to get that lucky, but
opening night roster or lineup?
Lineup, I should say. Probably on the roster, but lineup at least.
Yeah. No, there's a spot there. That'll be. I'm guessing now that I guess Dave, now that they've done one UFA signing for multi-millions, I would guess the next, if they add a forward, it's probably this month in a trade. That would be my guess going forward now.
Well, I mean, this is the thing I've been talking about for forever, right? Is the can you leverage? Can you buy down a cap hit by way of dealing something?
Yeah.
They have the seconds all for next year. They have the 2026 first. Probably not looking to move that now. Let alone, I don't know. Seamus Casey does exist. Not sure I'd want to do that either. But I don't know if we could get into names here because that starts to get real deep. But is there a $3 million player that you could incentivize to 1.5, 1.8, something like that, and
Adam
make that
Henrique.
work?
It's the
Well,
only
I
name.
mean,
That's the
that'd be
only
a
thing I
free
can make.
agent. I'm
Yes,
talking a
no,
trade.
a trade. Yes, I don't know. Yeah, there's so many guys. Yes, but yeah, that's got to be the play now. It's got to be like if you feel like Pesci and Dylan maybe came in on the expensive side, and you feel like Nason came in on the expensive side, then if you are going to finish up this roster this month, it probably needs to be. It probably does need to be trade now.
Yeah.
You might have to feel like it's a rich trade to get the number you like. Yeah, I'm totally with you. That's what I think will happen, but we'll see.
I like the Pesci number. I know Dylan is
It's fine.
probably.
It's fine. It's market rate basically. Yep.
Yeah, I think Dylan is a little rich for me in terms
Yep.
of I would love to have it to been 2 at 3.5. All right, it's a little bit more, which every dollar matters right now, and another year that I don't love, but okay, I get it. You had to go. You had to go figure out your defense, and I think the Pesci number is right on. Sure, maybe the end of the contract isn't going to be the greatest, but I think 5.5. We had heard 6.125 was a number that was floated. 6 was certainly floated out there. I think whatever they overpaid slightly in Dylan, I think they got. I don't want to call it a discount, but I think they did fine on Pesci.
Yeah,
At
it
least.
adds.
Is that
It all
fair?
adds to being fine. I think for sure. If there's any actual boards available of the free agents who are actually left here. Sean Monahan would have been a fun idea, but my God, that dude got paid, right?
Yeah, he
5
did.
years, 5.5 million. That was never anything they were going to do.
Columbus. What are they? I don't know. Columbus is very, very confusing what they're trying to do.
I don't get it.
If I were Columbus, and I understand that the Devils had to go through the dark age too, and yes, Columbus has. Oh wait, who? Speaking of Columbus, who's still alive within the constraints of all this for me, right?
What do you got?
Boone Jenner
Your
at
boy.
half retained is still a viable option here.
Yes, if
I do think they're dealing him at the deadline this year. I think the price is going to
yeah,
be stupid, and I think realistically, who are the 3 teams who I think will be the most interested in him?
the
Take a guess.
Metro teams, the 3
Yeah.
Metros. Yep.
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 Now, if you could do it now, and you might have to overpay anyway, like yes, I don't know what I would necessarily feel comfortable giving up, and it's going to be a stupid cost. But if you could get Boone Jenner for the remainder of his contract at half retained, I think that would be maximizing your cap dollars as much as you possibly could. He's at 3.75 for 2 more years.
There were some other deals that I thought actually were pretty nice ones. I actually didn't think the Victor Arvidsson one was that bad, Dave. What did he got? I think 2 years by $4 million. If the Devils wanted to do that, I don't think that would have been crazy. If you were trying to find a faux top 6 or a real top 6, I don't think that would have been a bad. I don't think that would have been a bad play for them. You wouldn't have gotten too harmed in that. And he's capable of scoring 30 goals legitimately. So that would not have been a bad one.
That feels like giving him maybe a little bit more up front, but then you're not attached to him. I think that's a really savvy deal. Actually, I like that. Like maybe I'm sure we'd be split. If we polled everybody, they'd be like, yeah, I like him, don't like him. I think you'd be betting on upside there, and then you can get out of it pretty quickly. So yeah, yes. I would have done that. I don't love Arvidsson, but that price,
I don't worth the time. Yeah, sure. I probably would have done Ian Cole again, and just when we do this here as we're going along here, like we know it's not apples to apples. Not all offers are the same, or what someone took in one place is exactly what they would take in another. But it's just for the fun. Just let us speculate, please. Let us have some fun. The Ian Cole one, really nice for Utah. I think 1 year 3.1. That's about as well as you can do.
They revamped their defense, right? We said, oh look, they don't have a lot of guys signed, and they decided they're going to go defense. I hope that team's good, especially in Utah. It should be fun. They're Western Conference team. We can root for them and John Marino and all that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool for them to be an exciting team. They have some nice young flashy players. They have some goaltending now too. Is it out of the question that Utah could maybe sneak in as an 8 seed next year? Is that
I mean,
possible?
there was some. I mean, the 8 was kind of open all year long in the West. I mean, why not? They could certainly be in the mix there if they wanted to
Although
be.
I think maybe you say Nashville's firmly
They might be firm now.
in that
Yep,
mix somewhere, right?
you would think so. Alec Martinez, 1 year, $4 million to Chicago. Chicago did, I think, considering what they're trying to do, like I think they did a nice job of getting like a bunch of good pro bodies. Now maybe they still should be tanking, and that'll ruin that.
Mhm.
But they did a nice job putting together a competent roster short term.
Yeah, I think part of it, and we noticed this too with the Devils, is that in this day and age, how many years do you want to be hapless? Now,
Right.
if you're Ottawa or Buffalo, the answer is forever. But if you're Chicago, you have the big piece. You obviously have some other really big name young players that are going to be inserted into your roster over the next few years. I think it's just the idea of trying to move it forward a little bit. Not saying it means you're going to gain 20 points in the standings, but I think Alec Martinez as a cup winning, really savvy veteran, like I think a young team that's a nice bet. Now, is 4 million probably a lot for him? Yeah, but it doesn't matter to them, right? Like if they wanted
Yep.
him and they realize that he's worth having in the mix, what's the difference for Chicago between 2 million and 4 million, right? I mean, sure,
Yep.
the answer is 2, but when you have enough cap, I don't think it matters. You go get your guy, right? Same thing is like, when the Devils went and got Camilleri. I know that was a little early on when they were still trying to compete, but you got to pay the open market number when you're a bad team. Look at what did the Ducks do last year? It was Gudis, who was more than it should have been, and who was the forward the Ducks got last year that they
Oh,
paid
the
like?
Lightning dude, Killorn.
Yeah, way too much money for him. But that's what you do when you decide to go get a guy and pay him a lot. And I guess Toffoli with the Sharks is that kind of thing as well, right?
Yes, totally it is.
Luckily, the
The
Devils aren't in that realm anymore. Thank God.
James Duffy on TSN says the Devils and Rangers are among the teams interested in Vlad Tarasenko, who I think would be a totally fine ad. And again, defense optional with him, but you see the way he played in the playoffs for the Panthers this year, and generally you know what he's capable of offensively.
I thought the best goal that they scored that entire postseason involved him.
I'm gonna forget which one. You have it off the top of your head?
I
Or
have it
just
clipped. It was against the Rangers. I can't remember what game it was. It was like a chip into the zone battle. Barkov and then Tarasenko was like right there, Johnny on the spot, like read the play right and like was right there. Like the other guys did the work for him, and then he knew, all right, I got to be here to score the goal. Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. I guess the question is like, I don't want to give him a second year. I think it's got to be a 1 year.
1 year only. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be the way to go. Yes, I agree.
I could do that.
Uh,
I don't love Tarasenko, but I think if you feel you are absolutely a body short in your middle six right now, I mean, the guy's a champion. He's scored a lot of goals.
he still produces. He
Yeah,
still generates
I think,
chances. Yeah,
again, it'd have to be 1 year. If it goes to 2, I'm out. But
4
I could
years,
do that.
4 years by 3.5 for Duclair. Probably
Okay.
fair. Just depends whether or not you can stomach the term.
I think I would have done that over Nason. I know it's a little bit more money, and it
Yeah.
is a little. Well, I guess it's a year longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like Anthony Duclair. I do. I think I would have, if I could, I would have done that over Nason, to be honest.
Yeah. Where else over here?
Let me go grab a Tarasenko card while we're at it.
Yeah. Canes re-signed Martinuk.
I should have.
Yeah, 3 years, but 3x3 basically. That was one of the few guys the Canes kept today. Nice deal for Anthony Stolarz. I hope he does well. He got like a 2-year, 2 and change. That would have been totally fine if that was the. I think that probably could have worked if Markstrom wasn't a thing, but they went for Markstrom.
I'm interested to see if he can do it now. Kind of not
Yeah.
being.
Go get 40 games or so and see how you can do. I hope he does well. Jersey
I do
kid.
too. I mean, look, if they ever decide to do the 50 state hockey challenge or include the provinces as well, because they couldn't work without it, right?
Yeah.
Stolarz would be Team New Jersey goaltender, right?
Yes, he would. By the way, the Bruins' downfall when it comes is going to be absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
It's going to be so delicious. Like they paid the market price on Zadorov and Lindholm. 7 years, 7.75 for him, and Zadorov was whatever it was, 5 or 6 years, 5 or 6 million. When I don't know when they'll crash, because again, I think anytime you try and predict a crash on teams, it normally ends up abstaining for a little bit longer. But whenever it does come for them, it is going to be delightful.
I think they are firmly.
Not that I
in
hate
it.
the Bruins that much, but
No,
yeah, it's coming.
I think, and you know my saying, I think they're a paper tiger. That they are
Mhm.
they are a regular season team. They have, especially with the goaltending tandem from last year, defensive system plus every night elite goaltending usually equals some sort of success. I mean, they haven't won playoff games really.
Mhm.
I mean, I know they beat Toronto. Okay, outside of that,
Barely.
from the 2 years, I mean, that's got to be of since the throughout the Montreal teams or whatever, at least since like the whatever lockout you want to say, that's got to be the most points in a 2-year span.
Oh God, yeah, very
And
impressive.
they all they did was beat Toronto. Like,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that they're the end all be all, but all right, here's Vladimir Tarasenko's
Yeah,
card. So like his offensive stuff went up there, playing on a good
he will
team.
finish above. He will score above expected.
Yeah.
The Devils could
Now,
use that.
so
Yep.
here's the thing. Like, I know we say, oh, you got to be able to defend. Well, they added a lot of guys that are defensive and tougher sort of players. You'd have to think that the Devils could absorb one guy here that is a proven goal scorer that doesn't really do a ton of defending, right?
This would be a better Boots to Foley. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to, and a little bit more edge, I would say.
Yeah.
No, I can totally see. I can totally see it. If you, all right. So like, what's his? So we could pull up his projection real quick, just to hell of it. Like, well, okay, so he's not getting 2 years, 4 million. I don't think, especially if he hasn't gone by now. Like, it's probably going to get a little bit quieter on him, I would think. Who's it? Him and the Rangers? I don't know. He could just go back to the Rangers. So that would probably be more comfortable anyway.
Yeah. Do you want to go to the Rangers right now?
I mean, they're short. They're probably short some guys. They'll try. They'll try. He'll probably go there for like the league minimum, but he would cost the Devils like 3 million, because that's probably just how the New York Ranger hockey world works.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'd really like to be in whatever weird situation they're going through right now. I'm not sure with like the Trouba stuff and all that, because it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to trade Trouba right now, right? I mean,
oh, it's so good. Keep going. Keep paying more money here, folks. Let's keep it going.
Look, he chose the Rangers because of his wife, which I know we probably want. A lot of people did want him back then, and okay, we don't need to go back on that. But in the same regard, he chose New York because his wife's a doctor, which is awesome, by the way. And it's amazing to think of how much money they're gonna have. Like, they're gonna live such an incredible life where he's made all this money in his career, and she's gonna be making money for forever. Good for them. The Trubas are gonna live an phenomenal life in terms of all that. But
stay in New York a little longer, will you?
Yeah, like, apparently, I don't know if this is true. I've just seen this out there that she has 6 months left in her residency in New York. So like, yeah, I'd love to finish out if that were me, right? I mean, the whole reason why they did is to be in New York City and all that, and also it would be great to see him not someone plant the effing flag and say, no, I'm not capitulating to whatever stupid thing the Rangers want to do.
Enough. Yeah.
And he's their captain. Like, you're really gonna like throw your captain out, like defenestrate your captain because, whatever thing. And I know our buddy Louis, who knows, he could be listening for all we know.
And why are Louis?
Yeah, I mean, we're almost at 4,000 people here right now, Jeff. So
how, on what, YouTube?
YouTube and Twitter. It tracks StreamYard tracks the number, which is
all. I guess sick. You're all sick. That's the only way to say it.
I guess we got to do a couple of these here and then, but
yeah,
now would be a good time if you haven't subscribed to the Substack. We're definitely going to do a little bit more video stuff as we go. As we get into the off season, we're going to do Saleyev video watches and stuff like that, I think, and on top of the normal podcast and all that. So if you haven't, devilsinsiders.substack.com, at least got to plug ourselves a little bit.
Once. We don't want to be too self-serving.
No.
Real quick, I guess we talk about him now, Dave, because it kind of happened, and I guess we could have done some things that kind of popped up a little bit. Real quick, Jeff Skinner, in terms of him being a devil idea, it would have to be like real short and nothing money. Like maybe he can do better than that. But if the Devils want to find maybe someone who's a discount regular season top six, we don't know what this dude looks like in the playoffs, who could create chances and score goals, would be defense optional. But I'm of the idea, Dave. Like I would have more interest in him than a lot of guys who are getting the big cut rates, solely because hopefully he would come in cheaper, and really he would just kind of bridge the gap to the playoffs. And maybe he could be gone before then, but he would be someone maybe you replace come playoff time. Like there's probably a tremendous amount of theoretical surplus value to extract from Jeff Skinner if it's on a really a really cut rate, and the Devils still want to add a top six, because it was mentioned last night that Kevin Weeks said the Devils would like to add a top six. Obviously, they were dancing around some of them last night and into this morning before it happened. There wasn't a lot of credible marches of smoke. So whatever on that, we'll probably discuss it further on the podcast. There was a little more on Stamkos, but there's an idea there. They've probably a smart team, and if Skinner's smart, he will do what. By the way, Jonathan Drouin did. I thought he would go for a long contract, Dave. He just went 1 year, 2.5 again with Colorado, and I think that's
smart for him, though.
Yeah, you still get a few multi-million, right? You're still going to produce a lot. I mean, I don't know if you couldn't get a big one off this, or you just didn't like what was out there. Like I would love to get inside his mind of, because you don't see guys do that really. Like once you get the one, prove it. Like normally you want to go get your money. He's doing like a second one, or he's just happy and whatever. And
you know what it is? I think, me personally, with Drouin, I think he knows he's going to have success there.
Oh, of course. It's almost a guarantee, yeah.
Yeah, that whether it's Colorado actually giving him a larger deal next year or being able to get a Monahan type deal somewhere else, like I think his body of work from 2 years will be, for one, the bad Drouin will be farther in the rearview mirror. I actually like that from him in terms of betting on himself of, I know I'm a fit here. I'm going to have good counting stats for 2 years afterwards that maybe I can really get it. Well, maybe he could have gotten like what, a 4 year deal from somebody. Like the money might not have been worth it necessarily to go yet. But I think if he has another good year, I think a lot of teams could be trying to. He could certainly get the similar to the Toffoli deal at the very least if he has one more good year.
If he wants to. I would love to see someone just kind of cup chase and make their few millions, and you know what? I don't give a shit about the money. I don't care what the players union thinks about that. It'll be an interesting case study as we go along if he actually does end up ever parlaying it in. But back to Skinner real quick, Dave. Like, it's a fun idea. I don't know if it would fit. He might not be the archetype of player that Fitz is interested in, considering kind of what we've seen him do the last bunch of days here. But in terms of maybe he would be a big discount, but big reward, he could be a fun idea. If you really are wanting to get a quote top six type, he could be a fun dollar store maybe idea if that ends up being the case. You dead on Jeff Skinner? Or you're muted, dog. David, you're muted.
Yes, it'd be great if I
could Jeff Skinner.
Learn the mute, but yes, Jeff Skinner scares me simply from this standpoint. Jeff Skinner has never played a playoff game in his career.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know this is unfair, and he'd probably be fine. I don't know if I want that voodoo anywhere near the Devils.
Well, you might not be wrong.
I will say this. I think I know Jack had the tough year this year, but I think as long as he's healthy, I think all of us believe he can probably be at least a 90-point player, if not more. And I think whether it's next year or the future, I feel good that there's 120 plus season in Jack Hughes, if not more, at some point. I think his meat and potatoes, as long as he's healthy, is above 100 points. Why can't there be somebody that's a real pro scorer that can just ride Jack Hughes' coattails to a bunch of goals? Whether it's Tarasenko, whether it's Skinner, whether it's a name we're not necessarily thinking of right away, I think we can kind of be to that point, right? I mean, we've seen other guys do it. Drouin is kind of an example of that, of go play with good players and you're probably going to get points, and you're going to maybe your card, your numbers away from all those players aren't that great, but you have to think at some point, whether it's this year, next year, so on and so forth, there's probably going to be one of those flawed offensive guys that is just worth throwing with Jack, and Jack's going to make him more money next year probably, or that guy is going to finish with 30 something goals just because he plays with Jack Hughes. And with the idea that Mercer could certainly be a third liner, like there is in theory a either one or two, if you want to say Palat's a third liner as well, there are certainly opportunities to play within the top six right now if you're that kind of player. So I get what you're saying. Maybe it's just me being a little unfair in terms of, I don't know, the Jeff Skinner never playing a playoff game thing is weird to me. Also, we could have a pretty good first. We could have a real good card, Jeff, for the fight UFC whatever at Prudential Center.
Oh, Skinner
Yeah, we got
open up for Hall and Nason.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, that's a great card right there.
Ring the
bell. Just bare knuckle boxing, slap boxing, whatever you want to do. Let's do it on the ice. Let's have someone filming.
And Owen Lazar versus Jack Hughes, right?
Like a fake, that'll be like the fun.
Yes, they can do a fun knee boxing match. Yes,
and Luke will tap in at some point, and there you go.
Luke will come in with a chair into the ring. Yeah, so.
There you go. We've got the Devils UFC camp
in August. We need a bridge to September here a little bit. Give that to me in August. We'll probably talk about the Capitals a little bit deeper. So we'll probably analyze the Metro a little bit deeper, maybe in like a week or something like that. But boy, Brian McClellan was certainly not fucking around. He went with I don't know how well he did, but he was down to shake it up. Even though they had maybe a faux good year, but he went after it. He got after it for sure.
Well, I like their coach a lot, right?
Yeah,
I think Spencer Carberry he's going to probably ride out this iteration of that team and end up needing a new job. I'm going to say this right now. I think Spencer Carberry is going to be one of the most sought after people when he eventually rides through the bad years of Washington. I think he's going to be a real big, I think he's the name that's going to be this is his fifth job.
He's already guaranteed himself a second job.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if John Hines can get a second, third, fourth job, I think Spencer Carberry can do that. I think he squeezed every bit out of them. And I guess if you're the Caps, I understand, you're trying to be competitive still, of course, but also Ovechkin really showed signs of age last year, and he was 60 away? I might be wrong on that. Maybe someone could correct me on YouTube right here. How many away is Ovi from the record?
Yeah, I think it's high 60s.
Okay. So that's probably, you'd hope it's 2 years, but it might not be.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're the Capitals, you'd probably love to scratch as many of those goals off this year and just hope that if you have to limp through that kind of thing, you can do it. So why not? I mean, I don't think that they are good enough to really compete, but you know what? I don't think they're laying down, right? I mean, they're
trying. Mm-hmm. They are not stripping. They're not doing it.
Sonny, it's funny. They are the kind of the island of misfit toys in terms of guys who have been either good or what the hell's Sonny Milano always gives you flashes where you're like, oh yeah, this guy can really play. Connor McMichael, I still think is going to be a good player. I like Alexei Protas. So you add Mangiapane, you add PLD, which, I think a lot of you would probably have the same feelings on him, but he could get hot for a stretch of games, right? I don't think the Caps are going to go away from that regard. I don't think they are a 70-something point team next year. Now their goaltending could go back to being.
Well, they got rid of Kemper, and who's the guy they brought? They brought in.
They got Logan Thompson.
Thompson and Lindgren.
Nice. Yeah,
I'll tell you. I mean, you can throw it out there right now.
Under $2 million for those goalies,
and those guys at times have weeks or months capabilities of being top 10 goalies in the league. That's what's happened the last 2 or 3 years. Those guys have all been excellent for long periods at a time. So they will be a pain in the ass next year. The Capitals. I'm definitely not going to underestimate anyone after we did
No,
last year.
and
You could just from their goalies alone, the Capitals will be a pain in the friggin' ass.
I mean, one of the things, and we'll see when I think the schedule actually releases tomorrow, which should be
Yes.
fun. We'll do a show on that at some point. Probably not right away. We'll do the win, loss, win
Yes.
at some point. But you're going to have to win your Metro games. You know, whether it's middle of the road against Carolina, Rangers, you know, you can't go 0-4 against one of those teams and expect, like, you can't get blitzed by the Capitals again this year. The Islanders, you're going to have to beat them. Like, and as much as we don't think that those teams are great, those teams are also not pushovers, right? I mean, Pittsburgh still is live. The Islanders still are live and have good goaltending. Washington obviously has some pieces that, as much as we all think the Devils should be better, and yeah, I really do believe they should be better. You're gonna either find yourself in a dogfight the rest of the way, or be able to give yourself some breathing room by how you do against your division, because it's who you play the most, right?
Yeah. Who else kind of kicking around, or any? William Carrier, I know his name we liked. AAV's stomachable, but he gave him 6 years, and I guess it's not that much over variable. It's probably easy to buy out too. That's actually probably a pretty good move for Carolina. He was probably more of a Hurricane than he was a Devil anyway, William Carrier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt that way.
Just the way he plays.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the Devils have tried to get more Hurricane types in their
but it's funny. I think the Devils have done enough in that regard. Now it feels more like they should be worried about finding another skill piece.
Yeah, just another all-around really good player instead of a niche fit. Yeah.
A lot easier said than done.
Yes,
but
it is. Enough with Jacob Chychrun already. Can we just say
they're still talking about him?
So he went to the Capitals.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Him for Nick Jensen. They had Capitals added a 3rd round pick on top of that as well. Like, but he'll be gone in a year or two. So
look, if you're looking for something, I think the Caps could be interesting this year. I don't know how good, but they could be a pain in the ass every night at the very least, right?
Teravainen, 3 years, $5.5 million to the Blackhawks. I think I will try and watch Blackhawk games next year because I think they've done a fun job filling out their roster. They signed Laurent Brossoit too, so they might actually have a human who could stop pucks. They should be fun. What about Shane Pinto? Officially requested a trade? Or is it I don't know about Anthony DeMarco from the 4th period. He's kind of mixed, but the fact that they were begging for offer sheets, apparently, like that's I don't know where he's going, and Devils probably can't do it anymore at this point.
No, he probably feels a little bit too expensive, but I don't know. If I were Shane Pinto, clearly they want to get out of there because Ottawa's not going to pay him. If my option was take dirt on a not so great situation in Ottawa versus go somewhere else and know that they're going to give me probably a lighter bridge, but maybe I have, like, put it this way. Should he be thinking of himself similarly to what Drouin did? Go somewhere where you're going to probably play playoff games, be surrounded by better players, and look like a piece that, because Jeff, there's something that remain, is true, that when you're a good player or like a positive part of a playoff team, even if your card or your counting stats aren't that good, I think when you're viewed as a important extra piece on a good team, other teams see that and they want them. I don't think Pinto, because he didn't play a ton last year because he was suspended, and also it's Ottawa with, their defensive lapses, even though he's a solid defensive player. I don't know if now's the time for him to be asking for all that money. And I think he'd be better. Like, if I'm Shane Pinto, I want to go to the best situation I can find right now, based on what I think will make me the most attractive after this. Like, I know he wants his money, and I get it. He's a good player, and I think there's a real nice future for him. But you're really going to go somewhere where, they're going to pay you, and then, like, put it this way. You get traded to the Sharks. Is he really going to look all that good there? Yeah, you might get power play time and so on and so forth. Here's his card, by the way. So you could see certainly his defensive impacts went up. His offensive impacts did go up, but competition was pretty good there. So you say, all right, if he could, I don't know if they could do it, Jeff. I still think I would, if I could make a Shane Pinto deal happen.
Yeah,
I would love to see. I think as a 3C, he's got boots. He's young. I would absolutely try to find a way and say, look, we'll trade for you. We can't give you a lot right now. We're going to give you a 2-year bridge, and you know what? Take your chances being on a better team and see where it goes. Would you be interested in that?
yeah. I guess the one thing they did mention is that, or Bruce Garrick, I think, mentioned that even if he did get offer sheet, it sounds like the Senators would just match. Like, and that I think that's always kind of the fun part of that. Of the player wants to get out so bad, they think they've got something. Then it's like, oh, okay, well, somebody did the work for us, actually doing the contract. We'll just do that now, and we didn't have to go through. We didn't have to really go through all that. We just let someone else figure it out for us. But no, the idea is great. There might be 2C upside. It gives you a ton. Like, I mean, you can't be much more well protected than that in terms of a 1 through 3, and that means you bump Holla down to 4C, or he slides to wing, and you feel good about your wings now. No, he would solve a ton of things. He's certainly pie in the sky, but why wouldn't you look into him? He would be like he would kind of, in theory, less accomplished, but it would kind of be a bit of an alteration of the idea of the Joel Eriksson Ek idea of like, let's get a guy here. He'd probably be great 3C. If there's an injury, no problem as a 2C, and maybe kick someone out to the wing or kick somebody down the lineup as well. Now, there'd be a tremendous trickle down effect from him if he was a thing.
I think that's how I look at it now. Is if you're going to do something, you want to find maximum value here, not pay more than you should for somebody. I guess the question is, what would they be looking for him? I don't. Are they at the point that they'd give up, that you could give him 2 seconds for him? I don't know. Would it be? Would you do? What prospects would you be willing to give up in a Shane Pinto deal? Assuming it comes with a sweetheart short-term bridge.
I mean, what he's got, how many years of control does he have? Was it like 4 years of control like that? Like, it's going to be a lot. Like, you're probably not going to make that. You probably can't. What they're going to want, you're not going to want to give up, probably. So I don't even.
Yeah, like I guess, like, I think they'd be fair to ask for Seamus Casey.
Oh, they'd be. Oh, yeah, and more. Yeah, if they think they've got a 23-year-old second line center with 4 years of control, whatever it is, like, they're going to be asking for.
Yeah,
and
but also if the player's angry, and I don't know if I trust Ottawa to do the right thing here. Like, I understand they have new bodies in there, and that should help, right? But I would be calling on that personally.
Oh, definitely. No,
the price might be too high, but I would consider that.
Yep, you want to,
because obviously it looks like they are headed for a divorce one way or another, right?
Yes, it does. Anything else here? I think I looked through all the transactions. I think there was anything else really worth discussing. It's a good way to dip our toes back in the water of being out there again.
Yeah.
Saying hi to everyone.
Yeah, I watch. We'll end up ending this, and they'll make a move shortly thereafter. Which I guess we can hop back on if anything.
We probably will.
Yeah, we can, and all that. But yeah, I can't believe we got 4,205 and counting the number right now of people watching.
Yeah,
so
crazy humans.
Yeah, that's wild. That's pretty cool. So no, I'm pumped. Maybe this is something we can try to do a little bit more here and there, and I don't know. Maybe we can even think about doing something from dev camp or something like that. I don't know. We got to huddle up and think about things here, but clearly there's an appetite, and I don't know. I guess we're all excited. I'd love to hear, from all. Maybe we'll put a poll out there, or just kind of get some comments or whatever. Like, what would you grade today so far? Understanding that forward group feels incomplete and may not be able to be quickly completed, versus really rounding out the defense and of course the goaltending. Like, I don't know, Jeff, like what's your, knowing that it's incomplete, what would your grade be right now? For me it's a B-. Like, I think they did really well defensively, but it does feel like they're not quite there forward wise.
Yep, I think you're right on it there. Yeah, like there's been a lot. And you're talking about what, the whole offseason thus far, or just the last 3 days?
Yeah, I'd say the whole offseason.
It's hard to complain. Like, they got their number one goalie. They tried to add a little bit of, like, Nason and Cotter, or identity add, something they clearly wanted to do. Like, if they go get one more top 9 body at some point in the next week or so, like how could you not be? And you got. It feels like you refixed it. You brought the defense back to, hey, question mark level to feels pretty solid. And if they can add one more forward, it would be hard to tie. It would be hard to ask for a lot more if they end up getting one more thing. So yeah, why don't we do? I'm down with that B-. And if they if they're able to turn over one more thing here, whether it's today or in the next week or 2 weeks, I think B+ probably would sound right. So I'm with you. I'm pretty happy as far.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are much stronger in terms of defensive ability now. That they have protection for both Luke and Nemitz, but also those guys might spread their wings this year. I mean, they certainly got baptism by fire last year. So I think they are really well insulated there. I mean, they still have Hataka for now, and also, Kovacevic being someone who you feel relatively comfortable can step in and do the right thing. So I don't think they're bare in terms of extra defense because, Lord knows you probably need 8 or 9 to get through a year. You know what it is, Jeff? And I forgot to bring this up. This is now going to be a moment where they are tied to the success of their big horses offensively.
Yep.
That,
the
whether
easy
or not
moments have come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I know Mercer is probably going to be part of this core here, and we'll see what the deal ends up being for him, and so on and so forth. But if you want to throw Mercer in there, and it's Timo, Brat, Nico, Jack, they're not going to have the total surplus of all these scoring forwards. They're going to need huge years out of all these guys, these big guns, and you know what? That's what better teams do, right, Jeff? I mean, you win because you do the right thing in terms of your bottom 6 and your depth and all that. And, you need your goaltending and your defense to do enough, including on the power play. They're going to need those big 4 to be the guys now. There's no more hiding. There's no more protection. They're all signed. The trade protection for all of them kicks in instead for Brat and all that kicks in. It's on them, right? And not to say they can't do it, but
Meyer, Nico, Jack, Dougie team. The guys who are all making $7+ million got to go play like big boys, and the rest hopefully should fall into place. That'll be that. Well, if those 5 guys play to what they're capable of, I mean, they'll be rolling. And if they're not, then we're gonna re-examine it. So, yep, it's big boy time. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we leave it there? I think maybe it'll be later tonight, but we'll kind of do a more Devil Eyes. And this was kind of just hanging out, and everything kind of basically happened before we got started. We'll organize this a little bit more from a Devils standpoint. So if you want to catch us on that, devilsinsiders.substack.com. We'll probably do that at some point tonight, and then we'll have more stuff planned here throughout the week. So thanks everyone for listening. Nice seeing y'all. Bye.